welcome to another edition of Hockey Unfiltered. Todd Lewis along with former professional hockey player Justin Bourne. How are you this week, my friend? Ready to go?
Doing well as always. How are you?
Excellent. Follow us along on Twitter. At JT Bourne is Justin's Twitter feed. At Todd Lewis Sports is mine. As usual, we're going to talk about a few hockey issues. Oftentimes we have differing opinions, sometimes radically different opinions. We'll see where we wind up this week. Let's talk about the recent goalie fight. Loved it myself. Not that I'm advocating goalies dropping the mitts at every instance, but the one with Brent Johnson and Rick DiPietro I thought was fantastic. The Islanders were on their way to losing 3-0 to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and DiPietro, because the Islanders have had a struggling season, decided he was going to give a high, hard shot to Matt Cook. And I love Brent Johnson racing the length of the ice, crossing center, and challenging Rick DiPietro after that, not because Matt Cook certainly needs anybody to stand up for him, but he gave up the shutout, which he was going to get because he was only a few seconds away. He'll get some credit for it, but it's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. No way. What a teammate. This guy can be on my team anytime he wants.
And I think the best part about it is that, like, he's not even mad. He's not down at the other end, like, furious. He was just really excited to get the chance to partake in a hockey fight. And, DiPietro gets a hard time, for the big contract, and, he gets teased about the injuries all the time, but there's a certain smugness to DiPietro that I think some fans resent a little bit. And, I've just sort of anecdotally, heard a couple stories that haven't reflected all that well upon him. And it was funny to see him go out there, as you put it, that little smirk when he head out there, just took the left, did not see it coming. So there's probably a number of people around the league who would like to throw in that punch.
Well, I'm sure there are, and I couldn't agree with you more. And it's not that I have a problem with the 15-year contract so much, but it almost seems like DiPietro, since even before he received that, had a sense of entitlement. You used the word smugness, and I agree with you. It's an attitude he projects, and I don't think there's a basis to even have that type of self-confidence or overconfidence or smugness, as you put it.
Yeah, and he's, you don't want to persecute the guy too much on just, on personality, because it's not like he's ever come out and said anything all that horrible. But, again, I've been around the Islanders organization and people who go to the same events and on the same circuits, and it's not going too far to say that there are a certain number of people who don't appreciate his company.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, it's not that we wish him any ill will by any stretch. He's really tried to battle through all those injuries, but it has been a struggle. Okay, a couple of interesting things came out over the last little while as well in terms of statistics, and some of the ones I have found very, very interesting. The ones that Commissioner Bettman revealed at his State of the League address just prior to the All-Star game was that concussions are up. Overall, concussions are up. And the alarming part about that, I think, is that it's not because of the illegal or blindside hits. It's because of legal hits and from other areas. And I think that maybe points a finger at the area that really needs to be addressed still is the suits of armor equipment that guys are wearing in the National Hockey League. The league has been talking about studying and looking at softening shoulder pads for 5 years. Well, how complicated can this be? I mean, there are bulletproof vests that provide more protection than some shoulder pads, and they're probably a lot softer. I mean, there's no way that this should be lingering as long as it has.
No, it definitely is a big issue, and I think it is. Equipment definitely has something to do with it. And as we were saying, before we went on air here, how hard would it be to put a little layer, not even a little layer, just put some foam over the hard plastic. You don't compromise any of the player's safety in terms of getting hit from pucks and sticks and all that, but you at least give a little bit of a cushion for a guy's melon. But I was going to say, I think one of the bigger parts of the problem is that players are skating faster and players are getting bigger. But our heads aren't getting any more resilient. That's not something you can train for, practice, or develop. So as guys get bigger and taller and faster and stronger and all that stuff, our heads are just becoming, more and more at risk. And obviously it's a real issue that we're just starting to learn about and need to take precaution.
You're right, and I agree with you that a simple little bit of extra foam layer, softening, cushioning, however you want to put it on shoulder pads is easy. You're still going to have people that get hit in the head, and if you get hit in the head with a pillow is one thing, but if you get hit in the head with a 2x4, it's quite something else. The other thing to consider, and you mentioned it, is that the game is going so much faster, and in addition to the equipment protecting the players, it inflicts punishment. You almost have to change the approach in how you manufacture and put equipment together. You want it to essentially have both players absorb the energy that's inflicted with a hit. If it's strictly one-sided with the player initiating the hit, then you can go as hard as you want because you're not going to feel the effects of it.
Right. Yeah, no, a lot of people say that there was more respect in the game years ago when, there was less equipment. When our dads played, people just kept their sticks down because, no one had helmets on. It just made sense, and you all knew that everyone was less well protected. And, when you're a little bit worried about your own safety, it's a good thing. You're playing a dangerous sport, and you should be a little concerned. And guys, right now, there's no danger to yourself. You can go Mach 10 out there and get up and be fine.
Well, you're right, and that's you can call it respect as one thing, but I think it was a sense of self-preservation as much as anything else. Right. Because if you went barreling into someone, you were going to feel the effects of that hit as well. With the equipment development, it's taken away that that consequence for inflicting a big hit.
So maybe we put little spikes on the inside of your shoulder pad so it just hurts a little bit when you hit someone.
Well, in a sense, that's kind of what I'm advocating. It sounds very strange and it's tough to describe, but you want the player inflicting the hit to feel the hit as least as much as the player that's receiving the hit, I think. And that wouldn't take away body contact, but it would take away some of the devastating consequences, I think.
Todd Lewis, patenter. You're going to patent the internal spikes on shoulder pads.
Well, you said the spikes. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting one. Okay, let's touch on one more while we still have time. And the other one was that an interesting survey was done by CBC at Hockey Night in Canada. And the one stat that stuck out to me that everyone's been very quiet about, especially the old guard and established members of the National Hockey League, those who are quick to point the finger at the instigator rule when you were talking about the lack of respect. Well, 2/3 of the players in the league don't mind the instigator rule and feel it should be left alone. Well, isn't that a revelation?
Yeah, no kidding, because there certainly is plenty of people saying if it went away, there would be more respect again. I'm not so sure that it has such a big effect. There seems to be this common consensus that the instigator is a major catalyst in the way the game is played and wars are fought. And, I played in leagues with the instigator and without, and it never crossed my mind one way or the other. I think I got an instigator penalty at one point, and I don't even know, how to, technically the rule. I don't think it plays as big a part in things as people think.
Goon. You got an instigator. Goon. No, not at all. But I agree. I think it's not really an issue at all, and it prevents skilled players from being mugged by a fourth liner is the only big effect that it really has.
Yeah, might have been a lot of skill players filling out that poll then. That would make sense.
Yeah, I guess. Always looking to protect themselves. All right, that'll do it for another edition of Hockey Unfiltered. For Justin Bourne, I'm Todd Lewis and our producer Dave Turner. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, follow us on Twitter at JT Bourne and at Todd Lewis Sports are the accounts to follow. See you next time.
We'll see you next time.